The Devil All the Time dropped on Netflix today. It's directed by ANtonio Campos and has a massive ensemble cast led by Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, and Bill Skarsgård. Based on a novel, it tells the story starting in the 40s and spanning to the 60s. When the plot finally settles, it focuses on Arvin Russell, played by Tom Holland, and how he protects the ones he loves in a corrupt town. I avoided the trailer for this one. I never do that though, and I wanted to know as little as possible going in. All I knew was who was in it. It was filled with religion, and Robert Pattinson yells delusions a lot. Delusions! This movie is pretty divisive though. I've heard some people say they love it, some people say it's not that great, and some people just say it's meh. And for me, I loved it. I'm the most non-religious person you'll ever meet, just by the way, so going into this, I knew there was going to be a lot of religion stuff, and I can't tell you if it's accurate or not or whatever, all that stuff. But I didn't watch it because, oh, I'm gonna go watch this religious movie. I watched it because of the cast, and the acting was by far the best part of it. Everyone is great here. Bill Skarsgård is excellent and haunting in a different way than Pennywise. He is a very interesting character. He's the main focus for a portion of this movie, I won't say what, and I thought he was great here. Sebastian Stan is very good once again. He has a very different role than what I expected. He was in it even more than I thought. I won't say much about his character, but I was pleasantly surprised with him here. Haley Bennet was another standout here. She had a pretty rough role, and if you've seen the film, you definitely know what I'm talking about, but for someone, I don't think I recognize her name. I'm not sure if I've seen her in anything else. I'll confirm on the screen somewhere. She was great here, and I'd love to see her in more things. Again, she had a pretty tough role, but I think she pulled it off very well. Everyone else is great here. I'm not going to name all their names, but everyone nailed their role here, and for the most part, their accents too. It's kind of funny to hear all these accents coming from these people. But there are two people that I haven't mentioned yet, and I'm guessing you know who those are, and they are the reason to watch this movie. Robert Pattinson keeps up his streak of great performances. Of course, we had Tenet, we had The Lighthouse, which was my favorite film of last year, Good Time, High Life, which I wasn't a big fan of the film, but his performance was very good in it. He's just great here, and it's kind of funny that he's in this because he played Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter, and Dudley, Harry Potter's cousin, was also in this too. I won't talk too much about his character, but you absolutely hate him. He's such a scumbag, and the way that Pattinson pulled this off is once again amazing. There's this scene between Pattinson and Tom Holland in the church, and it is one of the most tense, suspenseful, and best scenes of the year. It is amazing. When you watch the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's more intense than Batman versus Spider-Man, if that ever were to happen. And that's a compliment and a half. Tom Holland is a tour de force here. He really dug deep for this character, and I read a little bit about it, but he had to go to a very dark and violent place for Arvin, and it was worth it in my mind. He's phenomenal here, and I love him as Peter Parker, obviously, but he plays such a broken and tortured person here, and it was pulled off perfectly. Easily the best work of his career. The film is slow though, you probably heard that from everyone else, and at times it does drag. It's based on a novel I haven't read, but you can tell it's based on a novel because of the fact that there's narration, and it's narrated exactly like a novel would be written, and I found that at times really good, and at other times it kind of bothered me. I feel like they could have cut this to about an hour 50. It's about 2 hours and 18 minutes, I'll say 16, 18 minutes, and I feel like if they cut 25, 30 minutes off of this, it would have made it a lot better. Not every character is as interesting as people such as Tom Holland, Pattinson, or Sebastian Stan. So I feel it veers off track sometimes, and I really wanted it to get back to them. That's not a shot at the acting at all. The acting's really good, but I just didn't feel as invested when I was with those other characters. Now, a lot of the times they had some great scenes, but some of them played a little bit too much, I feel, and that's where they could have cut it out. It did take me a little bit of time to get invested in. I was never bored, but it did take me a little bit of time to get invested in it. The score is something to pay attention to this award season. It isn't big and loud, but it helps build tension at perfect times, and that's something that Campos does really well. He builds tension in so many moments, and they set up the characters so well so that the payoff hits really hard. The Devil All the Time is a bleak, slow, and character-based film. At times the script can be too messy and it lost my full focus, but the performances, mainly by Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Bill Skarsgård, and Haley Bennet, really elevate this film. Maybe I won't be revisiting this one, but I love my experience viewing this film for the first and maybe only time. I'm gonna give The Devil All the Time an A-. Check this one out if you want to see Tom Holland really dig deep. Robert Pattinson, again, is just great here once again. I mean, I love him in Tenet, Lighthouse, Good Time, all these films, as I mentioned. He's great here once again. It's a really interesting story about people who are corrupt and how some people deal with that and the ways they do that. I won't spoil anything, but there are so many fantastic scenes, and I highly recommend this one. If you've seen it, tell me what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.